One of the most contentious issues in Ontario politics these days is the back-to-school plan of the Ford government. We're in the middle of a pandemic. We've flattened the curve, but COVID-19 is still with us and will be for some time. Lots of medical officials have said it's imperative that kids get back to school for their mental and physical well-being. But teachers' unions and many parents are upset, saying the government's plan doesn't cut it. I had a chance to speak with Education Minister Stephen Lecce and put questions to him about his plan, including many of the views and claims put forward by teachers' unions. Here's the interview. So, Minister Lecce, your plan is being criticized by teachers as not doing enough. You say that it's the safest in the country. One of the critiques from teachers is you didn't talk to them. You didn't consult with them at all. Did you go to the teachers, ask for input, show them any of the ideas that you were coming up with ahead of time?
Yeah, we've been listening to frontline educators, to staff, to mental health practitioners, to medical leaders, and of course to our school boards on the trustee side. We've been listening widely. We want to make sure that the plan we landed represents the very best of our province from an educational perspective, from a safety perspective. And obviously we've listened. But when the choice is between perspectives from obviously our medical community, that's going to triumph in the context of a pandemic, and I think parents expect that we look at this through the lens of dealing with mitigating risk and improving the safety of their children.
But did you, your officials, the doctors that were consulted on the plan, and I've listed off at least 9 of them that were on the public health table that consulted Dr. Williams, did you have meetings with officials from, say, Harvey Bischoff's office, the Ontario Secondary School Teachers Federation, the Catholic teachers, the elementary teachers? Did you meet with them since the pandemic shut down schools in mid-March?
Absolutely. Over 120 times of dialogue, discussion, listening to ideas, feedback, constructive criticism on some of the suggestions we proposed. We've socialized many concepts at that table. We have a formal table that the Deputy Minister has been leading in engaging with them. And that's because we believe it's important. I've also spoken to the presidents throughout the pandemic. We've created a variety of outreach to teachers directly. I spoke to 2 teachers last night for perspective in 2 different boards. I mean, we're doing everything we can to solicit input. But in the midst of a pandemic, of course, what's got to matter most is listening to the medical community to keep those very teachers, our staff, and of course all children in Ontario safe, which is what we've done. It's why the Chief Medical Officer of Ontario has fully endorsed our plan. He's the same gentleman, Brian, as you know, that has ably advised our cabinet. And so we're listening to him. We've helped flatten the curve broadly as a society. We've got to continue to do our part, but it's that advice and the advice of other major leading pediatric institutions that have really got us to the place we're at with that comprehensive plan that deals with masking, nursing, more cleaning, all those things that I think are really important to mitigating the risk.
I want you to talk to parents in a moment, but let me get in one more question from the teacher's point of view, which is that I'm hearing that there are classes with 35 students, 30 students, 0 social distancing, that you haven't lowered class size at all. Has your government done anything to lower class size? I know you haven't mandated it, which is what appears to be the sticking point, but are there going to be classes of 30 to 35 students? Have you done anything to lower class size?
Yeah, absolutely. We've invested $900 million, of which a critical mass of that is to do more distancing. What our expectation is that we're going to see distancing within our classes, supported by additional layers of prevention, essentially additional actions which together keep the kids safe. The medical community is very clear on this. At least a meter of distancing, supported by masking.
But why not 2 meters? Because we've all been told throughout the pandemic, keep 2 meters apart. You're in the store, you got to keep 2 meters apart. Why 1 meter now?
Yeah, the reason for the health community is that you can have 1 meter so long as that it is coupled with additional actions. That's the overwhelming consensus of the medical community. That's why, in our case, we've ensured masking is a mandate. One of the only provinces, in fact, the only province who've mandated it in schools. Some have come incrementally towards Ontario's position, but we have the most comprehensive action in that respect. We've improved air ventilation. We have obviously made sure cleaning is a top priority with the hiring of over 1,300 cleaning staff and custodians. We've got deep cleaning taking place thoroughly on our buses, in our classrooms, in our hallways. We've changed the direction of schools, and that there's one-way staircases going up, going down. We've tried to create markings within the entire school system to really make sure that we minimize contact, we maximize safety, and making sure that those cohorts remain true. So we have given school boards significant dollars to achieve more distancing. We've given them nearly $1 billion to do that, and we understand how important it is, which is why we're expecting to see that distancing. And we know boards have. I've gone to schools personally. I've gone through them with the Premier and without him in some cases, and I've seen how they have taken that seriously to maximize additional space, libraries, cafeterias, gymnasiums. They're reusing space to achieve that distance, which is important.
But there will be differences between boards. How they're dealing with this in Toronto will be different than Thunder Bay. It'll be different in Deep River, Ontario, just up from Ottawa, than it is in Peel Region. Why the differences? Why didn't you have one rule for the entire province?
Well, I think we recognize in Ontario that a regional approach allowed us to respond to a very different risk. I mean, the risk in Kenora just isn't the same in Toronto. And so we made sure that we came up with a plan that designated those school communities that have higher rates of transmission into those sort of blended high school models where we're reducing the amount of kids in class, moving a lot of it online. I mean, we've taken immediate action in that respect to reduce the risk. But in Ontario, I'm proud that our plan allows for a regional approach, but it also ensures that every single school board in the province, irrespective if you're urban or rural, you're going to get more funding. You're seeing more public health nurses. We have more than doubled the public health nurses dedicated to our schools. I want to thank our nurses this week, to meet with them and listen to their medical advice, and to express our gratitude for the work they're going to do. We are adding significant amount of custodians.
And I get that. I get that, and you've mentioned the custodians already, but explain to me the difference between designated, non-designated boards. So I mentioned Deep River. That is up the Ottawa Valley. It's in the Renfrew County District Health Association. It's about a 2-hour drive from Ottawa. They're not in a designated board area. The Ottawa area is. So they're going to have. What's the difference there? I understand that designated boards have a mandated class cap on some things.
Well, on the designated boards, it's essentially like in Ottawa proper or Toronto, Peel, York, boards that have higher rates of transmission risk. The public health, in conjunction with the Ministry of Education, made a decision that in those communities that have higher rate of transmission, that we have to take action, given that the emerging evidence is that spreading could happen more with older students. At least that's the emerging evidence that we have to date. And so we took action to say, look, in those higher risk communities, we're going to ensure that these kids could be provided with more online live synchronous learning, that Zoom style learning, to reduce the risk amongst those students. And that's why we did that. We actually took a heat map of the province to understand where are those risks and where do we have to reduce the potential risk on our students, which is why we adopted this sort of blended model of in class and online. And that has been working in those communities in the sense that I think a lot of students and their parents appreciate that we're going to take a cautious start. Obviously, if the health data improves, we'll continue to encourage the boards to scale up to conventional day-to-day. But we want to right now just get it right, get our kids in class and make sure that they're safe.
The Toronto District School Board is the largest board in the country. They did a survey of parents the other day. More than 80% of parents across the system responded, even higher for elementary school students. 7 in 10 families say they're sending their kids back to school. 30% say they're not. Do you see that as an endorsement that you've got 70% coming back, or condemnation that you've got 30% saying, I'm not comfortable?
I just see it as a choice of parents. I'm not, gonna, second guess a parent's decision. They're right for those that made the decision on the 30% online and the 70% in class. I believe in parental rights. I believe that they made the right decision for their personal family circumstance. I do not know if they've got an aging parent at home. And I think we just have to be respectful of the rights of parents. At the end of the day, what they deserve is a quality education. And I've ensured that the online system is robust. It actually meets the needs of our kids. 75% of it has to be done online live learning. And we've listened, and parents had a say. And what I heard is they want a quality experience province-wide, and we're going to deliver it online. And for those that the majority of parents are sending their kids into class in a few days, I want them to know that we've taken every precaution, put in every action, every layer of protection according to public health and the best pediatric doctors to keep them safe as well.
Can you get quality learning online from the Ontario government? I know there are schools that have been doing this for years. There are options like Khan Academy, which has been posting school curriculum online for well over a decade now. It's, for Ontario to scale up to this level, is the province ready? Because we saw back in the spring, some teachers were great with it. Some, it was a disaster. You had the OSSTF putting out memos to their members saying, don't participate. So are we past some of those hurdles of the union saying, don't do this? And are we able to actually deliver curriculum now?
Yeah, I mean, we did face fierce opposition by public sector unions, by the teacher unions, discouraging their members to go above and beyond, encouraging them to do to not do live learning. And that's unfortunate, to be quite frank, because students deserve to have education. And so I've put out a directive to school boards where at least 75% must be live. We have scaled up our system. Ontario uniquely is offering parents a choice. As you know, in Quebec, the government would have mandated every single child has to go to class. Whereas we're offering them an online option. That's critical. To your question, yes, I do believe we can do this. We can improve the system of online learning in the province. I recognize this is a major pivot and a big change and transformation in education, but it's about time students had quality online live learning. And why I believe live learning is foundational is because these kids deserve to be in a community. The social emotional impacts of being home is already taking a toll. I want them to be part of a learning experience where they're able to challenge their peers, they're able to ask questions, solve problems together, and be able to see their peers. I get it. It may not be better than being in class, but it's a heck of a lot better than getting a couple emails a week. And so we are going to stand up for parents and students to make sure that they get the best online experience and urge our unions to play a positive role in the delivery of education, because without our teachers, we can't do it. But I know many teachers in their heart, having spoken to hundreds of them throughout the summer, and they want to be part of the solution, which is why I've offered professional development mandatory for every educator in the province before school starts on online learning, because I think that competence, that ability to deliver it online has to be strengthened right across the province. And I think most teachers want to do that.
In terms of, let us know your thoughts. You can leave a comment down below. You can share this on Twitter, on Facebook. You can spread the word. Let us know what you think. And of course, as always, subscribe to our YouTube channel.